Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of quadratic domain and range. This is standard A.6A in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 30 of the 2017 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we simply need to find the domain of this quadratic. F of x equals 9 minus x squared. So let's define the terms real quick. So the domain, which is what we're looking for, is going to be all of your independent variable values. And we typically will just say those are your x values. So that's what we're looking for. Sometimes we are not asked for the domain, we're asked for the range. So that is going to be all of your dependent variable values. And sometimes it's the y. If we're graphing, it's definitely the y, but sometimes we'll see it as like the f of x or the g of x or h of x, something like that, something that shows that it's a function. So we're looking for the domain here. And so we're looking for, are there any restrictions on the x? Typically the x is easier to find. It's the y or the f of x. Sometimes that has some restrictions on there. So what do we know? Well, we know that it is a quadratic and it's going to be a parabola because of that exponent right there. So when you have a degree of 2 or an exponent of 2, it's going to be a parabola shape. And we know that it's going to be something that looks kind of like this. So we know that since it's a negative x squared, it's going to be downward facing. And we actually know that this 9 right here, that is serving as your y-intercept, but it's also serving as your vertex right there. And the reason we know that is because the standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we don't have a bx right here, right? We just have an ax squared, right? That's negative 1x squared. And then we have a plus c, which is 9. This will shift it. This will shift it kind of up like this if it's negative, or like this, depending on whether it's if it's a downward facing, it's going to shift it to the up to the left, up to the right, or if it's an upward facing parabola, it's going to shift it down to the right or down to the left. So it just kind of depends. We don't have that here, so we know it's going to kind of look like that. So what is our x values? Well, our x values are going to continue forever. And it's the y values that are restricted to below 9, but it's our x values that are going to go on forever. So I'm thinking it's going to be all real numbers. Right, we would show that with x is going to be greater than negative infinity. That's how you would show it mathematically, and less than infinity. Or you could say this all real numbers. Since we have a calculator, let's go ahead and just plug it into the calculator and see what that shows us. So we pull out our TI-84 here, and we're going to go into y equals. Let's just plug this in. Y, or in this case f of x, equals 9 minus x squared. And we'll go ahead and graph this. And yes, like we thought, it's going to be downward facing. If we wanted to trace it, it is going to have that y-intercept, that vertex of 9 is going to go down. But let's check out our zoom feature. All right, let's zoom out. And let's just see what happens to our x. Is our x continuing to go out? So it's going to look like it's almost not existent there because we zoomed out too much. So let's zoom that back in just a little bit. There it is. Now if we wanted to trace it, we're going to see that our x is just continuing to grow and grow and grow as we go down and down and down. We're off the graph now, but our x is continuing to grow, and our answer here is G.